Hey guys, my name is Aditya and you have tuned into Channel AQ. The Microsoft Power Platform tools are really interesting and exciting to use. In this short series of videos, I plan to explore some of these tools with you. We would be walking through PowerApps, Power Automate, Power BI, and a little bit of Power Pages, linked along with Microsoft Excel, Forms, and Outlook. For this example, we plan to create a simple Power App to take data input and feed it into an existing data table. So let's roll that intro and get into this video right away. Alright, so for this example, I have picked a simple scenario where we have a table management system at a restaurant. On the screen, you can see that there's an Excel table with the tracker sheet selected. The tracker sheet takes in some data such as the booking ID, the date of the booking, the table number, the name of the guest, the type of guest, the server's name who's attending them, the status of the table, and the feedback if any was collected during the service. There are a few other sheets on this table such as the table list, and this shows us the number of tables we have and the type of tables they are. We also have a guest type which we can select from, either standard, VIP, or some requiring special care. We got the servers who are 4 people employed at this restaurant: James, Alex, Victoria, and Archie, and they have an experience rating which has been given to them. And we have the status of the different tables with the specific description. Now currently, James, Alex, Victoria, and Archie have to fill this tracker manually every time a booking is taken, and they need to update the status of the table and any feedback that the customer provides to them. Not just that, they need to ensure that the tables are cleared before they can be reserved, or if the tables are occupied, then they cannot be given to an existing booking. So our plan here is to make a simple user interface where the servers can use the interface to feed in data which will automatically get populated on this table, and we are going to use Microsoft PowerApps to get this done. I've now opened the PowerApps homepage at make.powerapps.com, and here we're going to click on the Create button on the left. Now it's going to ask us how you want to create the app, and there are multiple ways to create this, but we're going to use the option which says Excel over here. Once we click on Excel, it's going to load the PowerApps page and then ask us to select our data source. Now remember, it's asking us to choose an Excel file, so I'm going to go into the Excel file that I've created, but here we encounter a problem. It says there are no tables on this file, which means we need to convert our data source into a table. So let's head back to our Excel sheet. We're going to select the data that we have over here. So I'm going to select the entire table. I'm going to go to Insert Table, and I'm going to ensure this checkbox is checked since my table has headers. And I'm going to click on OK here. Now I'm going to head over to the Table Design tab, and I'm going to give this table a name that it can, so that I can recognize it. So I'm going to call it, I think that will do, Table Management, and that gets saved on OneDrive. I'm going to head back over to PowerApps and refresh this connection now. Alright, so now that I've refreshed the connection, it recognizes the table that I have created on the Excel file called Table Management. I'm going to select the table over here, and I'm going to click on Connect to the bottom right corner of the screen. What PowerApps is doing right now is identifying the data source and coming up with a 3-page app. That PowerApps has created 3 screens for us. So on the left hand side under the tree view, we can see that it has created a browse screen 1, a details screen 1, and a edit screen 1. So by going through these, we get a basic idea of what it's trying to do. The browse screen essentially gives us a list of all the entries on the data table, and the details screen would list all the data for a specific entry from the data table. And the edit screen would be more of an input form where we can fill in details and edit an entry or make a new entry as well. When we head back to the browse screen, we can see that it's populated using some predefined values. I'm guessing by these, this is the booking ID, this is the feedback, and this is the name of the guest from the data that we have saved over here. However, I want it to be a little more informative, and I would like to change the way in which data is shown over here. So here under the tree settings, we can see that a browse gallery has been added, and under this browse gallery, if we happen to select each of these labels, we can see that it goes by the name title, subtitle, and body. I'm going to go ahead and delete these labels, and remember, when we start deleting these labels, it would ideally remove the other entries which are available on the gallery as well, so don't worry about that. We're going to go ahead and click on the plus icon over here, which stands for insert, and I'm going to insert some new labels into these. Now remember, if I were to just add the label over here, it doesn't make it a part of the container or the gallery itself. So I'm going to delete this. I'm going to head back into the browse gallery option, and once I'm in the browse gallery, now I'm going to have the text label added so that it gets added inside the gallery as an entity. I'm going to resize this to my liking, and I can go ahead and add labels. Now, if you notice, it's going to populate some values inside the labels automatically, and these are values from our data table. I'm just going to copy and paste, and I'm going to make that on the side, another copy and paste, make that at the bottom, copy and paste. I'm going to put that over here. I'm going to select all of them together, and I'm going to copy paste once again. It's going to make 4 more, and I'm going to add them below this. I'm going to extend this a little more. I'm going to select these 4 once again and move them down a little so that they are equally spaced. So that looks good. Right now, the data doesn't make much sense because it's just copied the same value over. If you select each one of these items, you can actually see what the data is showing. In the formula bar up here, it shows this item dot booking ID, which means the booking ID from the data table is being selected for all the cells right now. Now we can change this very quickly. What I wanted to do is I want to show the booking ID along with the name of the guest. So now that I've selected this, I'm going to do a quick naming convention. So this is label 2_1. I'm going to call that guest name, and then I want this data label to show the table number. So whenever I want to enter predefined text, I need to enclose it within double quotes. So I'm going to say table number over there, and that's going to populate there. I might reduce the text size, or maybe not. Let's reduce the text size a little. So I'm going to resize it back, and I'm going to change the size here to 16, and that works. So as you can see, it's actually replicating the same changes to all the gallery entries, which is a good thing. The next one, I want it to be the date. So that shows up as date. I'm going to change the size to 16 again. And this would be the status. So I'm going to select this and type status and change that to 16 once again. So now this has been renamed to guest name. So here this has to get renamed to table number. And this will be date. So date is being already used. So I'm going to say booking date. Let's say booking date B. Booking date. That worked. And this is the status. So let's call it table status. So the only reason I'm renaming these fields is so that I can quickly identify them where I'm going to select the populated data for these. So now if I go back and select the browse gallery entity over here, what it asks me to do on the right hand side is select the fields. So I can see that 12 fields are selected right now. So now I can pick the specific data value that I need to pick for each. And since I've renamed them now, it's pretty straightforward. So booking date should pull the date. So we can see that 2024 is being picked. We can correct that after some time. The guest name should pick up the guest name from the table. The table number should pick the table number, and the table status should pull the table status. So here we can see that we have a slight problem. I'm gonna expand this. So it says cleared, reserved. So here we have the booking ID, the name of the guest, the table number they are seated at. The date comes up as 2024. Maybe if I expand this, okay, that's better. So here I can see that it's given along with the time. So it's 2nd of April 2024. If you want the time to show, you can leave it this way, or we can use a formatting option to change that. I'm going to leave it this way because it makes sense to know what time the booking was made as well, not just the date. And here we have a simple browse gallery which has been created with the details that we require. All right, so let's take a quick look at how this app would look if it got published right now. I'm going to go ahead and hit the play option to the top. And this is how the first screen looks like. Now we have options to refresh, to sort the data in alphabetical order, or to add a new entry. If we happen to click on one of these items, it's going to take us to the view section or the view screen, where I get all the information related to this particular entry. I have the option to edit this entry or to delete this entry forever. So let's go ahead and add a new entry to this table now. Let's say we have a new booking which has come in just now. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new item. I'm going to call it booking ID 3. Go into the date picker and select today's date. Let's say the booking is for 4 in the evening. So that's going to be 1600 hours. There wouldn't be any feedback right now. So I'm going to put that as an NA. The guest's name is Harry. And Harry is a VIP guest, so I'm going to type VIP there. So being a VIP guest, we're going to give him the top rated server, and that's James. And the status is currently reserved. And we're going to give him the last table that we have, 6. And once all these details are entered, we're going to hit the tick over here. It's going to try and complete the data entry, and we can see that it navigates us back to the gallery section, and I can see that the entry for Harry has been added. He's booked in at table 6 for today at 4 p.m. in the evening, and the status currently shows reserved. Now let's say it's 4 p.m. and Harry has walked into the restaurant. I can go into this item, I can edit the item, and I can change the status to occupied and hit a tick once again. And that's going to feed back into the table, and it's going to change the status to occupied on the view screen as well as the main browse gallery. Now let's look at how the data looks on the back end. So I'm going to open Excel once again. Let's open our sheet, and let's go back to the tracker tab. And here we can see that an entry has been added for Harry with the date and time. The table number, his name, the type of guest, the server's name, and what status it is at, and if any feedback was entered. And we can see that a new column has been added over here which says PowerApps ID. Now this is how PowerApps knows which row to reference data from. So we're going to leave that alone. But instead of entering data manually into the Excel table, with the help of PowerApps, we have been able to create a simple 3-page app to enter data into the Excel sheet. And this becomes a lot more easier. It keeps the data clean without changing any of the formatting on the Excel table itself. The additional advantage of this is that we can add additional formulas to the Excel sheet which need not be shown on the Power App. So let's say, for example, there were some conditional formulas that we needed to add on the Excel sheet, or we wanted to link the Excel workbook to a Power BI table to show us how many bookings we took in for a particular day, or which tables were the most occupied, or what type of guests did we serve through a particular month. We can easily retrieve this data without touching the Excel sheet, where the app is used for feeding in the data and the Power BI is used for pulling out representations and making sense of that data. So that was the short tutorial that I intended to make for this first video of the series. In the next video, we are going to have a little more changes made to this app. Now, what I would like to do in the next video is, when we are creating a new entry, we very well know that some of these fields, such as the guest type, the server name, the status, and the table number, can have a preset value where we can't take, let's say we have 4 servers and the names should all be the same. The status of the table can be cannot be one that is not on the list, or we have 6 tables and we can't have table number 7 there. So to add conditions to the inputs is something that I would like to do in the next video. So make sure you subscribe and stick around for the next one too.